Hi, my name is Linda, and today I'm elated to share I am officially 5 years cancer-free as of this month. I thought others might find my story helpful, so I'm sharing that here. It's definitely been a journey with its ups and downs. I feel so fortunate to be here at this time, feeling well, because I know that is not the case for many, too many. Just a little tiny note before I go into this story. I'll be sharing my personal journey, and what I express here is my own opinion and not medical advice. If you're here seeking any medical advice, I encourage you to talk with your doctor. Back in 2017, I was diagnosed with stage 1 HER2 positive breast cancer at the age of 27, which is quite young statistically speaking. Cancer never ran in my family, and it was a subject that I knew very little about. When taking the recommended BRCA or BRCA gene test after my diagnosis, it was found that I didn't carry any genes that could have made the probability of cancer any higher. Doctors never found the cause of my cancer, but I have my suspicions. It started when I noticed a small, hard, pea-sized lump I felt near the skin on the left side of my breast one day. It wasn't there before. It was June, and my boyfriend at the time and I agreed that if it's still there after a month, then I'll go get it checked out. August came, and the lump was still there. I went to my doctor, and she immediately scheduled a biopsy. At this time, I didn't tell my parents yet, as I wasn't having too much concern, naively thinking if it was anything, I would simply just have it taken out with a small surgery. A week later, the biopsy results came. I tested positive for breast cancer. From that moment, it was a whirlwind of tests, talking to multiple doctors, and making plans for how to beat this. I told my parents, but like me, they didn't realize the full extent of what I had to go through in the coming months. When my breast surgeon first suggested a mastectomy, I couldn't even comprehend. I remember seeing pictures of post-mastectomy scars years back, and in my mind, that was intense. I immediately informed her I would not want to do that and opted to schedule a lumpectomy instead, with rounds of radiation afterwards. During all this time, I was researching as fast as possible what breast cancer entailed and how all the different options would affect me. After reading more about radiation and its side effects, I grew more nervous for the procedure as the date of the lumpectomy came closer. The day before the scheduled surgery, I had a meeting with a radiation doctor for the first time. During that meeting, he informed me of the risks and said point blank, "If you were my sister, I would not want you to get radiation and a lumpectomy, and would want you to go through with a mastectomy. The risks were too high for having radiation in your 20s, as it can develop secondary cancer at a later age. And with a mastectomy, there would be no need for radiation." I called my breast surgeon doctor, we'll call her Dr. E, to cancel the next day's procedure, and she was very accommodating, almost sounding relieved that I would opt for the mastectomy instead. The mastectomy was scheduled weeks away, and during that time, it was a rush to see more doctors and plan reconstruction options and chemo. Chemotherapy was weighing on my brain. Not because I would lose my hair, that would always grow back, but because things like how chemo affects your eggs, making childbirth harder, how chemo affects your immune system. Because I was at stage 1 and caught the cancer at an early age, my doctors were not sure if the side effects of chemo would be worth it for me. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to have my case presented to a board of 8 doctors to review and give their recommended actions. The board was split down the middle on whether I should do chemo or not. If I were to go the chemo route, I was required to consult with a fertility specialist and freeze my eggs beforehand if I wanted to have children later. I don't have children, and I want children, so I needed to find out more. Going to local breast cancer group sessions was a little help, as most of the women there went through this journey in their 40s or later and already had children. But I did find a general local cancer group outside of breast cancer with one other young woman, and she gave me references to fertility specialists. The process to freeze eggs, though, was very involved, as many with endometriosis or many others going through a similar journey might know. I needed answers. A meeting with my oncology doctor helped clear some things for me. He was very optimistic about my prognosis, seeing that I caught so early. The side effects and requirements to go through with chemo are a huge risk. In the end, I decided to have a complete mastectomy and not pursue chemo. December 12th, the big surgery day came. I had stocked up on medicine prescribed to me, prepped my bed so I could try sleeping in an upright position, and brought comfy PJs and pillows. I also braided my hair to have it be more manageable. We drove to the hospital in the morning as it was going to be a full day. I opted to have reconstruction on the same day, so we were expecting a full 9-hour surgery. The anesthesiologist came and put me under, and the last thing I remember was being wheeled away through the surgery room doors as I calmly fell asleep. I woke up to my family surrounding me, thinking the surgery happened so fast. Maybe they can be back home before 12 p.m. My boyfriend informed me it was actually 5 p.m. I felt a little sore, but still had the effects of pain meds. My mother stayed the night in the hospital beside me. Dr. E came to check up on me the next morning, and I was ready to head home. I'm glad I had brought my travel pillow, as my chest was sensitive to the seatbelt, and I wedged it in between. The next 3 weeks, I took off work and recovered. The pain and the management of the drains were okay. I had watched a lot of videos on the process beforehand, and I'm very thankful I did that. I couldn't help but think about that blue alien in Fifth Element seeing myself in the mirror, which was pretty cool, I guess. Squeamish warning. I was surprised how the drain removal went. I had gone to my plastic surgeon on the day they were to be removed, and they just cut the stitched thread and pulled them out of me just like that. It wasn't painful, just felt a little funny feeling the tubes go through me. Later, Dr. E informed me that they ran tests on my tissue that was removed and found she was successfully able to get it all. My status was deemed NED, no evidence of disease. It was a great feeling going into the new year. Now, 5 years later, I feel a little more at peace knowing that the chance of a reoccurrence has drastically diminished. I went to my last annual cancer checkup appointment and heard the words, "Congratulations. You don't ever have to see us again." Many in the community that I followed have not made it to today, and there's some in particular that will stay in my heart as I followed them for years through this journey. Some public figures I'd like to note are Nolly Augustin and gaming YouTuber Technoblade, whose passings earlier this year have affected me deeply. Their stories have encouraged me to be more public with my own personal journey, and just to share things to the world more in general. Sharing personal stories like this is not for everyone, and I'm not sure who will actually come across this, but I hope it helped at least one person. Thank you so much for listening in, and hope you have a great, meaningful new year.